JP's Budget Collecting in another episode of the Indie Show. Tonight we are talking Canto, and I have an amazing panel for this tonight. They've joined me for the first volume. We're talking volume 2, The Hollow Men, tonight. I'm looking forward to this discussion because they were great on the first one. So first up, we got Kate and Charlie from John's Comics with Kids. What's going on, girls?
Not much. We're very excited for the show, though.
Well, I am glad you guys agreed to come back to do this again. I thought you guys were really great when we talked about the first one. I'm looking forward to seeing what you thought about this one because I have thoughts, and I love to hear what you guys think. Also joining us tonight, we have Burning Block About 99. Kate, what's
up?
On?
How's it going?
I like it. He's got the green screen behind him looking sharp. He's got
the Hollow Man.
He's got the Hollow Man. I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Reaching down.
Well, welcome, Kate. Welcome, Kate. Welcome, Charlie. I'm looking forward to this discussion. But let's shout out this chat because it is hopping already. I got a whole bunch of people in the chat already. So some Rena person was hanging out early. I don't know who that is. Kate, have you heard of her? I don't know.
No, I haven't. Some chick who wrote Isle of the Dark.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You can find that at Rena Brown Author.
Yeah, Rena Brown Author. Got it. We got Nicole. What's going on? Welcome, welcome. So, Life with Two YouTubers. Anybody know who that is? I thought it
was like Sharon.
Yeah, Sharon.
Somebody who gave birth to me. I don't know.
We got Comics Will Break Your Heart. Jennifer, what is going on? Welcome. Let's see. We got Soul Reaper in the house. What is happening? Unruly Simeon, my friend. What's going on? Edit Master, welcome. Jonathan Summer, what's going on? Thank you. Bubblegum.
Gonna do a different wave for every person.
Oh, you might be doing this for a while. Photosynthesis Lobo. That's a new name. Welcome. Kurt, what's going on? Simon R, welcome.
I don't know, I'm running out of ideas.
Some John guy, he doesn't need a wave.
He's like a hobo who lives with us. Sorry.
I think I've heard that before.
It's kind of embarrassing.
GTT Comics, greetings, my friend. Let's see. Oh, chat just jumped on me. Just lots of John and Rena going back and forth right now. That's like the next 15 comments. So,
gosh.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. I am looking forward to this discussion. So let's just get this started. My memory serves me right. Charlie and I liked Volume 1 more than Kate, for sure. So let's start with Kate. What did you think about Volume 2? Just general thoughts.
I liked it a lot more than the first one, I think. Just because the characters were a lot funnier to me and the art was, I don't know. I really liked it a lot more than the first one.
Okay.
The story was more interesting and the Hollow Men were really cool and the pixies, the fairies were really cool.
Yeah.
At the beginning. So yeah.
Yeah, the pixies, which were technically a one-shot, I think, side story between volumes that they put in here. I actually enjoyed that story a lot myself. I agree with that for sure. Charlie, what about you? What did you think about this volume?
I liked it. I definitely feel the story was rushed. I definitely think that they spent more time on the art than the story. I think they just wanted to speed it up quickly. And I definitely think there are some characters that I strongly dislike. But I really did I liked the Clockwork Fairies. They were really really like that story. That was really cool. The idea of it, I liked it. And I've always liked fantasy fairies and things, so it was right up my alley.
Okay, nice. Kate, what about you? What were your general thoughts on this?
I'd really have to agree with what Charlie said because I feel like that a lot of pages were just blank or they were just artwork. And while the artwork is excellent, it's at the same time the story feels rushed. And I found myself having to read it a second time because I was so confused by certain parts.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. And then I feel like they could have added a couple of things that would just make it more elaborate and stuff. But otherwise, I found it pretty cool. It was a nice story. And I liked a few certain parts. So, yeah.
So I'm going to have to say I kind of agree with both of you on this. For me, I really enjoyed this. I think this volume I agree with Kate. I think this volume is stronger than the first volume. But boy, do I feel like they're rushing through this, and some of the things that happen are a little bit too convenient to get him to a certain point in a certain number of like pages, and it's like, for epic quests, I don't know, I want a little more of the epic quest. I think that's kind of where I'm at on this. I thought that about that was my biggest complaint about the first volume, was that like he got to the Shrouded Man too easily the first time, or too quickly.
Yeah.
I realized that was kind of just a setup, and it makes sense. I just felt like it was maybe a little too easy.
There should have been side quests.
This was kind of fell into a similar trap. That he was able to get to his goal while there were costs along the way. Like, it was actually a fairly simple journey. What did you think about that from that perspective? Kate, you're nodding your head. We'll start with you again.
Okay. I think it was too easy, like you said, but I kind of liked how like his friends helped him a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I liked the character Verada just because she was funny. I know other people had disagreements about her. But I really liked her just because she was funny, and I liked Ricta. He's cool, and they the Hollow Men were really cool, but I do agree that it was too easy.
No. Charlie, what do you think?
I do. Yeah, I definitely agree. It definitely seemed like it was just too easy. I liked I really liked that he had friends along the way that helped him this time instead of just being himself. I thought they spent less time on more of the characters and what happened with them, and more time with just what happened with Canto. Yeah. I definitely feel like there's some people that he met along the way where I feel like that was too coincidental, in my opinion, like the Giants.
Right.
But, what were the odds he would meet them again? I definitely think because they have such big splash pages of them.
Yeah.
If that's just them, the entire page is just them. They could have just made it. They could have saved the page and just made it smaller and added more things. And like Kate said, they spent more time on the art instead of the story.
So
I do.
Yeah. So I think you've been told in the chat a few times, President Peter, but we are talking about Canto Volume 2, The Hollow Men, is what we were discussing tonight. So welcome. Thanks for joining us. Kate, what about you? What do you think about just kind of the way they pace this out and the story moves?
Fast-paced, definitely. I feel like I wish there were side quests. Because there's that scene where he gets to the door, and they're building up this door throughout the whole book. And then he's just like, go away, evil spirit. I want to go through this door. And then the spirit just goes away and he goes through the door. I'm like, it would have been better if he found a key or something as a side quest to actually go inside. Or he had to do some sort of epic battle with the spirit on the hill to actually get in. So I think it was just some parts were too convenient, like you said earlier, where he'll fall off a waterfall and oh look, where we need to be, and it's but then there were other parts that were pretty cool. I kind of did the throwback to the Giants, they kind of explain what happened to them, where they went, and they ended up helping Canto instead of having to be tricked by Canto. I think that was interesting. So yeah, just definitely some parts convenient and some parts were pretty cool.
Okay, well let's dig a little more detail here. For those Soul Reaper saying hasn't read this yet, there will be full spoilers. So we're going to talk about all of this. So I want to talk a little bit about kind of the side story at the beginning, which is our little clockwork fairies. Basically, Canto is we meet him again, and it's and his all his people, and they basically set up camp here, and as they're trying to find a new homeland, and he stumbles across this witch who has all these little fairies that she's basically stealing their wings and replacing them with little clockwork figures. I thought it was kind of interesting. She was doing to them what had been sort of done to Canto's people. What were you guys' thoughts just about that storyline and what was going on there? Go ahead, Kate. Go ahead. Sorry.
I liked it personally more than the main story, just because it was really cool, the way they. So I just like the idea of this witch that they randomly find while they're playing hide and seek, and like that was really cute. The Malarex and hide and seek, that was so cute. And then like they get trapped in here, and then this witch is like trapping these fairies. It was so cool the way she like put their wings on it, and then when they all took them out, it was so cool when they rescued them.
Oh yeah, the panel where they're like after they save them and they're all let's get to where they're all on the Malarex on his back, and so see if I can get the light on that very pretty good. Yeah. So yeah, that was fun. I just thought it was kind of a fun little side quest that we don't get much of. We actually got a little side quest here of something, and I enjoy how, for me, the best part was that he he's a little overconfident when he fights her the first time. Once he finds his way free, that he doesn't come back alone, that he uses, his people. So Charlie, what did you think about the fairies, the clockwork fairies?
I liked it a lot. I liked the idea of it. And like I said before, fairies and fantasy, wizards and things are really my thing. But I had some questions about the witch's legs.
Yeah.
I don't know. I saw a picture. I don't know if you can in this one.
Oh, that she's replaced her own, that she's...
Yeah, I was like...
Show that again. I'll make you big. So yeah, like her arm and her legs, she's got like mechanical legs almost.
Yeah, I was a little confused about that.
Well, she was... her whole thing was she wasn't like torturing them, she was enhancing them, or that's what she claimed.
Yeah.
Trying to improve upon their design. So it was interesting that she's got weird giant robo legs. This is a good shot of her when he meets her out in the woods, and you can see her legs are these weird. They almost look like horse legs or something, like the design of them.
Yeah.
And,
I never even noticed that before.
yeah, it's a very interesting little twist that she's doing this horrible thing to these other creatures, but she also kind of did it to herself. And holy moly.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon. That is amazing. Yes, this panel is super smart. I don't know that I want to dumb it down by doing my usual thing that I play for Super Chat, but we got to do it anyway.
What?
Yes! Did you see that? You see how they reacted in the chat? They loved it. Take that, Bear Island. So got people talking about the giants already. We're not there yet, but yeah, the beginning and end of the book. Yes, I do love that they have a callback to them and to the witch at the end of the book. I love how they basically get one of the little, I don't know if it's a fairy or a little creature that they cage up and just basically to trap her, oh, she won't be able to resist this, to get her at the end. But I just thought it was a very interesting. I have the feeling the witch is going to be important at this point. So, Cade, what did you? I don't think we got to you yet. Really talking about this little side quest.
So the side quest, I found it interesting, but before I read the book all the way through, I didn't know what the point of it was really.
Right.
I was like, wait, so he stumbled across the fairies and he saved them, right? And that was cool that he freed them and they were similar to his story. So it shows him passing on his legacy, which I think was important. But I was just a bit confused because I was like, wait, what is this contributing to the whole lore behind the shrouded guy? And then at the very end, they filled in that gap because he was talking to the witch. Yeah. And he was like, if you want freedom, you're going to help me and all that stuff. And I was like, I'm glad they went back to it because I was very confused as to why it existed in the first place in the beginning.
Well, yeah, I felt because I knew, when I read it, I knew it had been kind of a standalone issue. So I was like, okay, this could just be a standalone showing Canto's character that, he's helping other people in need and that kind of thing, which I thought was true to the character, true to the story, even if it didn't actually, the witch or the fairies didn't really tie in later. I like that they did tie it in later, that it's actually going to be part of the bigger story, or at least it appears to be. So from that perspective, I really enjoyed that aspect of it. The fact that they you know, it was fine to me as like a standalone side, and then when they tied her back in, it did elevate it for me, at least in terms of my enjoyment of having read it. So, all right, do we want to? You guys ready to get into the main quest here and talk about like? Let's talk a little bit. Let's just start with we've touched on him a little bit, but his crew here. We've got like 3 buddies that he's, you know, amongst all his people. There seems to be his, you know, he's got 3 friends: Falco, Veretta. we've debated how to pronounce her name, and
Veretta.
Ricta, I guess is the thing. So, what do you guys think about his crew here that he's got, like helping him out on this journey? Whereas before he was mostly by himself in the Malarex. He's got his Malarex still, but he now has some companions. So, what do we think of the companions? Let's start with Kate this time.
Wait, which one?
Kate.
I did Kate. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I couldn't hear it correctly. I'm like.
I didn't even think about that. The way I said that, it was confusing. So
I'm sorry. Okay, so what did I think of his side characters? I disliked Veretta. I'm sorry. Veretta died so many times, I swear. And I have a reason. I think I know why they did that. Because there was only 3 of them, right? And they had to put loss in the story, and I'm sure they wanted to put multiple death sequences throughout the story to add conflict to Canto's total adventure. But they didn't want to kill off his Malrex, and they probably didn't want to kill off Falco because he's an important character in the storyline. So they added this other chicken just to kill her a couple times, just to add loss, I guess, for challenge. I think Falco was important because I liked the scene where they were talking about him over speaking Canto's story, or like, how would I say that? Like, he's telling it more.
He's exaggerating
than it should be.
You know, the way that a good storyteller does. He's exaggerating a little bit of Canto's original quest. I do feel like Falco is a little bit of. Not necessarily a mentor, because, you know, Canto's done more, but like he's definitely kind of helping Canto. Like he seems to be serving a little bit of a mentor role, like someone Canto relies on or trusts his judgment of. So at least for me, at least that was what I was thinking about Falco. So keep going, Kate. I'm sorry I kind of cut you off there, but
oh no, you're fine. I'm having a hard time because I'm like. They don't really elaborate on the backstory of his friends very much because, like, Falco kind of comes into the equation, and you're just like, why is his eye missing? Why is he, like, a mentor figure to Canto? Like, where did this guy even come from? And it's like, he's a good character, but I wish they gave you flashback scenes as to how they met and why they were on this adventure together and how they met Veretta and all that stuff. It, like kind of how they did with his Malrex, where it's like, oh, you know, he found him and then they became friends. And I wish they had a little bit more of that for his friends. But
yeah, I would agree with that. What do you guys? Charlie? What do you think? What do you think about that?
I definitely agree with the thing about Bretta's death. Like all of her deaths, I think I just went through this just to figure out all the places where she dies, and there's like 6 times that she dies. Like falling off the cliff, and then she comes up, and then she falls down. And they go off the waterfall, and she dies, and then she comes back, and then she finally actually dies.
I didn't even think about the waterfall. That's like 4.
It's like, what? Wait, what?
Yeah, I will agree for sure, like, about Veretta in terms of, like, I actually found her personality-wise to be, I was kind of like Kate mentioned earlier, that she was kind of a lot of fun, like, as a character. But then they, like, made, like, she was jokey, but then they made a joke out of, like, her dying.
Yeah.
And I felt like the actual death was...
not emotional at all.
Was kind of like, oh, she, like, they had a chance to make it emotional. She gave up her time to Canto so he could keep going. And then she was fine. And then, like, they off-screened her. Like, it was...
yeah, it was like, wait, what? Like, if you're going to kill her, at least
something emotional.
Yeah.
And then they have, like, a Viking funeral and you're just like not sad because like what's to stop her from getting back up again?
Well, and that was my question. Like, I'm sorry, I'll let you go in a second, Kate. But that was my question. Like, his clock was different, it wasn't limited on time. So if they could give him time to get him restarted, shouldn't he have been able to give her time back? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. That was confusing to me. Kate, what did you think of his companions in general? And since we're kind of on the Veretta thing, we'll start there. But like, just what did you think about?
I liked. I say Verada. I don't know which one's right. I'll just.
Well, yeah, it might be
Either one.
How I said it in my head. So.
But Veretta, like I liked her. She was like a comedic relief in the beginning, kind of, and then she kept dying, and I got kind of like sick of her in a way.
Right.
But like not like completely sick of her, where I would be like, get off the page. But like,
yeah, no.
But like, I'm enjoying looking at her on the page, but I would be fine if she wasn't on the page.
Well, I will say, and I found it interesting, and I want to get your guys' thoughts, because I feel like Falco, they gave a little bit of a personality to. Like, he clearly has a role with Canto. I agree with Kate, I would like more. Veretta, they actually gave a personality. Rita, I felt like, was just like dude standing there that was like concerned about Veretta or Veretta, however you want to pronounce it. Like, so he was the one that I actually thought was gonna be like
The guy who died.
the guy who bought it. Like, if somebody's gonna not make it through the story, I thought it was gonna be him, because he was like overly concerned, but yet didn't really have a personality of his own.
The red shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought he was the red shirt, I'll be honest.
Yeah. It definitely felt like he was going to be like, I feel like in stories, in my opinion, usually the character that dies is usually the one that you don't know much about.
Yeah.
And then you learn more about them later, and then you start feeling bad for them. That's how I always end up feeling, where like you don't really care about them, and then you find out more about them, and then you start feeling horrible, and you feel really bad for them.
Right.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, like when she died, and I wasn't really thinking about, I wasn't feeling sad. I was feeling like later on in the book, she's just gonna come back. Like they're gonna find her tromping around the forest, and they're like, "What happened?" She's like, "I woke up in the middle of the lake in a canoe,
With
and
flowers.
I was covered with flowers, and you guys weren't there." I was very confused. And she's gonna find her, and she's gonna be back in the story. It's like, wait, what?
You know, and here's a question. Like, I want your guys' thoughts on this. Like, so these are sort of like people, but they're like clockwork parts. They have a clockwork heart. And she died because the clockwork stopped. But then, like,
Started back up again.
couldn't they, when he came back and he supposedly fixed all the clocks, if they had her body, could he have saved her? Like, I don't know. I'm a little confused.
Build another clock. Like,
Because, like, Canto's clock has stopped multiple times, and he's still going. Why did her clock stopping mean... Oh, she's gone.
red shirt.
No.
I don't know. I'm a little confused about, like, the nature of how their clocks work and how, like, with what they've done with them. I feel like they're still, like, that they just haven't been very clear or maybe even consistent in how they've handled that. What do you guys think about that? Just the nature of their being. I'm curious what you guys think, because that's one of the. It's a minor thing, but it's just kind of annoyed me. It's like, okay, why can Canto's clock stop? Why couldn't they have just given her more time? Like, couldn't they have like split the time a little bit? Like, she gave some of her clock to Canto. I don't know.
Yeah. I definitely felt like they don't really explain much about their clockworks or how they work. Because you see Canto and you see that he has such a big heart. Like, he cares. But how can he have a big heart if he doesn't have a heart? He's just a heart. Like, I feel like that wouldn't really work out, right? Because people always say that when someone's cruel and horrible, they say you don't have a heart. Or when you're, like, wonderful, they say you have such a big heart. But Canto doesn't have one.
Right.
They care for one another, but I doubt. First of all, I don't know if it's true, but I doubt they have brains. Like they think
Well,
somehow. Maybe that's also a clock. I don't know. They
Motherboards?
think somehow, and
Right.
they don't have a heart, so I feel like they wouldn't know how to care or anything.
Well, I mean, and it's clear that maybe that's what others think about them based on their appearance. That, part of the story, I think, to me, is showing that they're more than what they look like. That there's more inside,
Yeah.
even without a physical, like their original hearts. That there's more to them. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a little confused about the nature of what he and his people are. Exactly. Like, I feel like it's just another thing I want more of. Like, I feel like that's my biggest complaint about all of this is it all feels very rushed. Like, I feel like there's so much here that they could explore, and we're not getting all. Am I alone in that, or I don't think so?
I have a theory because this
Okay.
page in particular, I was so confused by this, and I have been trying to figure out here. Let me turn my green screen off so that it's not messing up the page. But I mean, this drawing right here with all the ones and zeros, and it's a variant cover, and I'm like, wait a second.
It's a homage to another cover, but
Oh yeah, well, I mean, it's just like ones and zeros. I mean, this takes place in like a medieval setting, and that references code in a computer. And I'm like, they've never actually explained what Canto's species is. Are they robots? Are they people in armor? I mean, if their hearts can be replaced with technology, are they technology? And I think this page kind of hints around at that because it's like code. So you're right. I mean, I have an issue with their clock stopping because if your computer's hard drive stops, can't you just replace the hard drive and it'll go again?
Yeah.
And when you say that, you think maybe it's not. They keep talking about like magic took their hearts away. Maybe it wasn't magic. It was just the computer. Like maybe the shrouded man is not magical. He just has a computer. He found out how to make a computer.
And everyone's super
Now he's
confused.
like,
Witchcraft.
yeah, like if you went back in time with your phone and you showed it to someone, like they would think it was a witch. Like they'd call you a witch or wizard or something. They'd burn you on a stake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just always been very curious about the nature of these guys because they like glow. There appears to be like heat coming through like their face mask. Like there's like a furnace inside, and they have a clock, and yet their eyes and their arms are clearly like you see like their shoulder joint and stuff. They're like robotic, but like I don't know. It's interesting, and I feel like they've been a little inconsistent in how they've handled like what they can and can't do. Yeah, and John says that is also a homage to Amazing Spider-Man 300, which is like normally on that it has 300, but so the 3 digits could be a homage. It could be deeper meaning. I don't know. So it's interesting that like because that's definitely a homage to ASM 300, which is instead of saying 300, it says 01, which I assume was maybe the issue, but I don't know if they're trying to tell you more there or not. Okay, let's talk about. You guys have anything more about his companions you guys want to talk about before we move along?
A little bit.
A little bit. Go ahead.
A little confused on the cover. Sorry. You can see here, like you get to see all his companions, all 4 of them. And you said about Falco, like his eye patch. I feel like the Elder also has an eye patch and a mustache. Like,
where's the Elder at? He's in here, right?
Yeah, he's in here at some point. He like talks to Canto after Retta dies for the second time. She's like, I don't feel so good. And she does.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, and I kept like confused a little bit. I was like, oh, this person's talking, and they called him Falco. I was like, is that the new name for the Elder?
No, I think Falco's a different person, but
yeah, they're different people because one has a white mustache, which still a mustache.
Again, the nature of these creatures, I don't know what they really are. So, for sure. Okay, anything else about their companions? Because I want to get to because we haven't talked about the Hollow Men. and what they like. Yeah, here's the elder does. Here's the shot of the elder. Like his eye patch is on the other eye, and he has a mustache.
Yeah, wait.
So that's like, yeah, they're very, very similar in terms of their look. So we find Canto goes to seek out his friend, which I can never pronounce her name.
Allura?
Allura, maybe.
Mm.
Yeah, something like that. I think maybe Kate was closer than I was. So he goes to seek her help again, like, and trying to get the magic to like get their time back because they realize they're all running out of time, which is the nature of this particular quest. And finds that her basically in her village all alone, that all her friends and family have been turned into
Scarecrows.
So what did you think about like the state? You guys talked about that you thought the kind of the Hollow Man was kind of a cool thing, but like, what did you think about just where she's at, and that basically when we find her, she's kind of given up?
These Hollow Men are crazy. That was really creepy. Like they don't have any arms.
No, they don't have like. Yeah, they're just.
Like I feel like the only thing that actually looks like an actual body part that they kept is the head. It looks all filled with straw, and like they say that they're the villagers that were killed. I was like, it doesn't look like the villagers are even there still.
Yeah. Well, he turned them into scarecrows. It's very interesting that he like basically made them suffer to the point that he's like, oh, I can take all your pain away, and he tricks them into like asking for it, like the Shrouded Man does. And so the only one that didn't was her, which is why she's the only one that's not a scarecrow.
I think he did it on purpose to her because I think she says later he made me watch. I think he was like personally attacking her.
Yeah, because he said in the book that he blocked their trades, like the trade with food. So she went out, and that's when she met Canto to get food and money for the town, and it worked. So the trade was back on, and then it fell off again because he was mad. So he was so mad at her that he killed everyone, including her family, her son, her daughter, everyone. Yeah. And then he let her watch, and then so she was the only person there.
Yeah, it was definitely like, she's at this point she's completely given up because she helped Canto, and this was the price. So I thought it was definitely like a huge, like you get the evil of the, like I will say that's one of the things that like in the first volume that I liked about this is we get to see the evil of the Shrouded Man a little more. Like the first volume, it was just a little more abstract that he'd taken their hearts, but there was really no, and he was kind of threatening him along the journey, but there was really no like actual, like the town
in a tower,
the town seemed fine. Like it was, you didn't see just how oppressive and how awful
he can be.
Yeah. So, I mean, Kate? What did you think about that part?
The only issue I had with the Hollow Men is that they weren't sentient. Like they don't attack because you show up and it's super eerie and there's all these like husks all over the place, and they're just there. I mean, the cover literally shows one reaching for them, and then when they get there, these are just dudes, and they're just sitting there like not doing anything. And I don't know. I was thinking that the main conflict of them showing up in the village could be that these dudes have been turned into mindless slaves, basically, and they have to fight their way through them, which would add conflict to the story and ultimately make the adventure feel a bit longer and more worth it by the time he gets to
the end. To the mountain.
To the mountain.
What do you think about that, Kate?
Well, I also thought that like some sort of, I thought the Hollow Men were, I want to call them scarecrows, but like the scarecrows, I totally thought that they were going to attack Canto and his like little clan. And then like they made it so spooky, and then they just like threw little bat things in there and like.
Yeah.
It was so random.
That was so, I agree. That was so like.
And then they carry away their Malrex, and it's like.
Yeah,
They're little bats.
Little
Like, why
bats.
did the Mallards go like
Yeah,
just escape too?
eat them. Like it's what?
Delicious.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, it was kind of. I agree. That was so random. It was like, oh, instead of having like we created these really creepy hollow men that like you could show that like the villagers have been turned into these creatures, and instead of them being like what they have to fight and defeat in the village, we throw in some random bats and they take the Malarex away because they were too easy. Like,
I mean, like,
I don't know. There's several things in this quest. Like, I feel torn, and I'm curious what you guys think about this because there's like I've enjoyed Canto. Like, I think it's fun. I think it's interesting. I like the character. I like this little world. But I feel like there's a lot of story points where
It lacks.
Like, it's like, oh, like the Hollowmen themselves aren't really that much. And then, like, Canto talks to Illyria, but she doesn't really help him. But then suddenly gives him a map that, like, out of nowhere that tells him exactly where to go. And
When I had it, so it just like drops out of the sky randomly. Like,
I mean, and then. And basically, you know, I feel like Verada finally dies just so that Canto will go off on his own. And it's just like, I don't know. What do you get? I mean, I feel like there's a lot of stuff that that they don't really develop. Like the quest itself is not even very long. And you get to the end and like he's going up the mountain and he has to get past the Guardians and you get like there's these huge cool guardian things, and you get like 2 panels of them following him, and
that's it.
And that's it. I don't know.
yeah, you feel like a stone would be able to like be faster than an armored robot human thingy, right?
Yeah, I mean, what do you guys? I just threw a whole bunch out. So, like, what do you guys think about like just the way they're structuring the story and how they're telling it? Kate, what do you think this time? We'll start with Kate this time.
Just like how the story kind of.
Yeah, I mean, all these kind of convenient. Well, it's what is it? Rena says convenience over 9,000. Like, there's so many like convenient little like, and I feel like like they throw in these really cool concepts, and then they don't do anything with them. Like the Hollow Men, they didn't really do anything with them. They didn't really do anything with the Stone Guardians.
There was a ton of. I felt like loose ends, I guess. Like they could have done something with them, but they decided not to.
Right.
And they focused more on the main thing, which led up to the Hollow Men, which also was kind of a thing they kind of steered off from, which felt random because the whole book it's called The Hollow Men.
Right.
And they had them for like a few panels. They talked about them a little, but the main thing was the bats and like Allura and stuff like that. And it skipped over it, which was weird.
I feel like they were rushing to get to the scene with him and the Shrouded Man's ex, the princess, and I felt like that should have been a different, like, almost a different volume. Charlie, what did you think about? I mean, what do you think about the way they're pacing this and the way they kind of just like jump past things? And
I wanted to say something mostly because I found this out. I forgot to say this earlier. The princess, they say the princess is from the story that they tell, and
right.
they say they're talking at one point about to Greta, and they're telling her a story about Canto. It's Canto's story,
right?
And he says this is her favorite story, even though it's the only story we know. And then later on, they're telling another story about the princess, and it's like, don't you only know one?
Well, the Princess and the Knight was the original story they knew, and now they've started telling Canto's story.
Yeah.
So I mean, but yeah, the Princess was part of that original story Canto told in the first volume. But
yeah, and I was confused. Like they showed the cool statues, like you said, and then they didn't do anything. Like the statues, it seemed like they were following him,
like
and
weeping angels. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they just stopped. And
they all looked like they had a specific story. Like they're very different, like beings and creatures, and I feel like there's probably a story behind all of those statues.
I thought they all had something to do with him because I don't know if it's just me, but that girl that stands in front looks like Allura to me. Maybe it's just it's just me, but she looks like almost exactly like her.
It's like
So I
Alora's
think they're-
mother or something.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're like they were put there. They're meant to stop whoever goes up there, because it's like people from your past that you I don't know if it's like something you've done someone to, but it's definitely something that you know or someone that you've seen before, and they're supposed to stop you, but they don't.
They were. It was.
Like,
I don't know. It felt. I don't know. There was just a bunch in this that felt like.
Yeah, I thought maybe the Hollow Men. The reason it's called the Hollow Men is because maybe later on they come to life, and something.
Well, I mean, at the end, there he just because he has the magic of the heart or whatever, he just fixes them. Like they just go back to being who they were. I don't know. It's like it's weird. I enjoy it, but parts of it like frustrate the you know what.
The crap ball out of you, yeah.
Yeah, maybe if he gets the heart and it undoes all the bad spells he's done. But I was like, if he gets the heart and it undoes all the bad spells, wouldn't that undo all the clocks? But then I feel like that's the one thing that we don't know if it's undone, but I think that's the one thing that it didn't fix. It didn't fix all their hearts, so maybe it wasn't the Shrouded Men. Maybe it was someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Like he took the heart, and then supposedly he's like they've given them. They have all their time now, and he like saved all the Hollow Men. Like I don't know. I have mixed feelings about this, so I'm curious, like where you guys are at on the like these story elements, and because when I'm reading it, I enjoy it, but as I think about it, it's like this frustrates me, and I'm just curious. Like, what do you guys think?
I have
go ahead, Kate.
I have a couple things, just two things, because my first one is, correct me if I'm wrong, the Shrouded Man is the knight from the story, right?
Right.
And the girlfriend is the person who gives Canto the heart.
Right.
But she says, oh, well, Shrouded Man, in return for magic, gave me his heart. So are we just going to ignore the fact that she became like an overlord magic provider and he became like corrupted, and then he asked her for magic and gave up his heart to his ex? I don't really explain that one very much. My second problem is the part where Canto finally makes it to the top of the mountain, to the door. And my first issue with that is, why was it so easy to get through the door? Because I feel like there should have been like a key or like 3 gemstones that he had to collect to open it, or he could have a battle with the apparition. Instead, he's just like, get out of here, apparition. And it's like, okay. And then he goes through the door.
Well, whether collect keys or whatever, like there should have been some kind of trial to get through the door. And they designed it. There's 6 guardians.
And they skip right over that.
they don't do anything. I don't know. It was very.
I do like the lightning art, though. The lightning art was excellent.
The art is fantastic, and we'll talk about that in just a second.
Yeah,
we'll focus on that in a minute. But Kate, what do you think about all of this? Because I feel like I'm ranting and I'm not letting you guys talk.
That's okay. I'm tired, but I'd probably give it like a. So I'd probably give the last one like a 5 out of 10. So this one's probably like a 7 or an 8. I liked it more, but there's so many loose ends, and like Rena said, there's like a cameo of a storyline and then it goes away. It sucks that happens. Like it has so much potential. Like the story, the concept, all of it's really creative, but it just doesn't pick it up quite right. The storyline.
They don't execute it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I can't argue with that. I feel like that's they have all this. They've created this really cool world, and John, your dad was saying that like 3 volumes or whatever, like 15 issues, and I feel like this is like a 50-issue story. I mean, like I feel like this should be like they need to like. All of this they could expand on, and they wouldn't lose me at all. I don't need him to like already have the heart and the solution to fighting the Shrouded Man at this point. Like, I don't know. I felt like they were like, "Oh, we got to get here," and I mean, I realize that, because she calls him a hollow man, the Shrouded Man a hollow man, which I realize ultimately the title's probably referring to that instead of like the scarecrows. But I don't know. I feel like they introduce all these things and they don't do anything with them. Like, I mean, even the quest where he has partners, like all they do is go visit his friend. They fight the Furies they fight the little bats and the Furies for like 30 seconds, and then one of them dies, and then he goes off on his own. I was like,
and then waterfall, and then funeral, and then it's like,
boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, we're not going to mention the fact that the heart is literally a heart, not
like a heart, like
it's not. It's like actually in the shape of a heart. I was like, wait, that's not what a heart actually looks like, right? I'm pretty sure.
It's like it's
A
sort of the shape
representation
of
of its
like a
heart, maybe?
cartoon heart, and if I can make myself big, but like
she's also like if your ex, well, not really ex, I think he still likes her. Like, is just living up on a mountain. You're not gonna go and like apparently, I'm still confused why she's there, but like, you're not gonna go see her. Like,
well, I feel like
in love with her.
Here's the thing that confuses me too, because it appears to me like she was trapped there.
Yeah.
The knight went to save her, and then instead of saving her, he just took magic and left it. Like he decided he was done with it, and so she's still like there and trapped. I don't know.
I don't understand why she's even there. Like if I was there, I'd just be like, bye. I have all this magic. Just cast a spell and let me go away. Bye. Leave everyone.
it was interesting because once he goes in there, I guess the setting, I like the setting, but one thing I don't understand, which happens throughout the entire story, are these blank pages where like nothing is happening. And sorry, my green screen's messing that up, but like just dialogue on a white page. It's like, okay, now this really reeks of rushing. Like,
yeah. They just wasted paper, bro.
I mean, sometimes that's effective. Like
sometimes it's cool.
But yeah, I do feel there is some of that. I don't
like transitions, but like they do it too much.
Yeah, I definitely feel like sometimes like he was saying, sometimes it can actually look really cool when you do things with like blank page. Sometimes it can look really cool, but it did not work well with that part.
So, since we're kind of on those pages, let's talk a little bit because we're coming up on our hour. Let's talk a little bit about the art, because I do feel like that is the standout of this whole book and story. You guys got some favorite panels or anything you want to show? Because I just think like there's so much. Like I feel like he does a great job, both like showing like dynamic, like movement, like these panels here where they're racing, and then but you also get like these just epic, like city shots.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think of? What do you guys think of the art? And just you got some panels that you want to show off as you're talking about it.
I don't really have specific panels, but I think the like fairy ones are really beautiful. Just like I like this one because it was just the mic's right here, so I'm gonna try to not like kill it.
Yeah. Oh, with the cages. Yeah.
Yeah.
Murder the mic.
So just, but it was so cool, and that stuff like this with like the magic swirling around the person.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And it's like really beautiful art, but they just lacked on story. But like the Malorix, all the characters are so cool. The way like she like falls over and like just kind of dies for the first time was really cool. Like they just show her. They show how they like the robots can portray emotions where they're like tired and they like close their eyes more.
Their eyes.
Yeah.
Does a fantastic job of because he has these basically like armor and eyeballs. Is what he's trying to tell like everything with, and he does a great job with the eyes for sure. Of using those to like express their emotions in a way that you wouldn't would be it's hard to do. I mean, because there's nothing else. He's got nothing else he can use. It's just the eyes, and so I do really like that. What about you, Charlie? What do you think about the art, or do you have any parts that we want to talk about?
I really like the art. I mean, besides the fact that it kind of I didn't like that they spent more time on it and less on the story. But I think a lot of it was really nice. Like this entire panel, both of these pages, I like the eyes. Like the eyes really show the emotion that all of them feel.
Yeah, their emotion, especially since they don't have much face to work with, I think they worked with emotion well, given what they were working with.
Yeah, I really liked how they used the eyes. I did feel like things like this were just really beautiful. This part right here. I really liked that page because it has like the glowing fireflies. Yeah, that was really pretty. So art-wise, I really liked it. But it was really cool. And again, this part, I love this part. The art is just phenomenal.
I shall take the heart. Zap.
So art-wise, I loved it. It was really nice. Very beautiful.
Okay. What about you, Cade? Anything art-wise you want to talk about before we kind of get to the last couple things before we wrap this up?
I'm a sucker for the lightning.
Yeah.
The lightning's good. I love the lightning shots.
Yeah.
Around the figures and stuff. There's a couple other ones. Oh, I'm on the screen. Hello.
I was a little slow hitting the button at that. We had it up there.
I like that shot where he's going through the door. What is up with my camera? Where it's like the universe and all that stuff. But I think they overused the whole page shots a little bit. Like not a page later, it's like a time lapse of the Fury coming into the town.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what was the point of that? But some of them are meaningful because like the whole story is about hope, which Mom said in the chat. And they constantly show an image of an arrow, a sword, and a hatchet throughout the story, which I think represent like emotion. And because like I guess the sword would be like what you're fighting for, and I guess each weapon represents something different. And they show that a few times through the story, which is something they should elaborate on instead of just being like a side thing that you just notice them using over and over.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. At first, I thought it was like the different weapons of him and his companions.
It is.
But like, there's 4 of them, or there was 4 of them, so it's kind of like
kill Verada.
Yeah, they killed the one. I don't know.
There actually are on the covers. If you look, the sword's here. This guy has a spear.
Yeah, so they are their weapons. But
he has the hatchet.
So they show it multiple times.
Hers is missing. Red's is missing.
I like the rallying his troops scene. I mean that has an actual power to it because it's like it shows the transformation from slaves who can't have names and they're like, oh, we're so scared of everyone who dictates us, to we're gonna fight and we are awesome and we have our weapons and we're amazing. I like that transformation. That was well done.
Well, and I mean, in a lot of ways, we're just gonna say like his people have done more than Canto has. Like other than he's inspired them, because like he came back from his quest where he failed. And they'd already overthrown their slavers and were free, like, and broken free anyway, like without it. And it was just like, so it's just, and they've been training themselves to fight and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, they're using his bravery to like help inspire them. But I don't know, like what did you guys? The other thing we didn't really talk about is the Furies. So
I was just about
there were 3 in the first book. One of them bit the dust. Then in this book, the second one died.
Another one
down to 1 Fury. But we get kind of a reveal that they were once, kind, good people, and the Shrouded Man has twisted them, and Canto is trying to actually
save them.
Yeah, trying to actually save the last one. What do you guys think about where the Furies are and kind of this information we get on the backstory of the remaining Fury, at least? Go ahead, Charlie.
Thank you. I definitely feel like they killed them off really quickly. We just they spent, I feel like in the first book, there's the orange one,
Yeah.
and it takes them a really long time to fight them. They're really struggling. And then the Mallory just takes it and just goes, boom, dead. The second time, they don't waste any time. The Mallory just takes one and boom, it's dead.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
Snap.
Just get off so quickly. I really, in my opinion, I really liked the Furies. I thought they were really cool. And you get like awesome lady characters. And they remind me of God, I can't remember the name. Like
The Greek mythology people.
yeah, the Grey Sisters. I forget what they're
Yeah, I think
called.
so.
Yeah.
And they're like the people.
Who cut the lifelines?
Yeah, they like always have the string and they have scissors.
The Fates.
And,
Oh, the Fates.
Yeah, the Fates, the three Fates.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they work for Hades, who's like this big death, who's the death god. And it's kind of like the shrouded men in his three
Yeah.
Furies, because they kill people, cut their lifeline. I thought that was based on that. I feel like a lot of this has Greek mythology, like kind of weaved in where you can't see it, but then if you like really are looking for it. I thought that was really cool.
Okay. Anybody else thoughts on the Furies? Kate?
Honestly, they're awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I love them in Greek mythology. They're so similar, but like, I really hope they don't kill the last one. Just because like, she's such a cool villain, and like, they're like the illustration of her is just awesome. Can you find a good picture?
Yeah.
It's like Ninja Ghost.
Yeah, it's so cool. And the tale of her three sisters and stuff, and it's so cool. Yeah, that's perfect. But like, I don't know, it's just something about her is so cool.
Yeah, I want to say something about that. Sorry, I had the hiccups again. I think that she is going to die, but that she either dies by killing herself because she can't live with herself being so horrible, so she like gets something and she kills herself, or she dies either protecting Canto or helping him, get the third men, and that's how she dies.
Well, I think they definitely like foreshadowed that strongly in this, that she's probably going to turn on him, on the Shrouded Man at some point. But I mean, obviously we'll see, but I do feel like that's what they were kind of trying to set up here. What about you, Kate? Any other thoughts on the Furies?
I like them a lot. I hope that the red one gets a redemption arc.
Yeah.
Because they're hinting at that. Because near the end, she goes up to Shrouded Man and she's like, "I failed you," and he's like, "Oh no, you didn't fail me." And then they had a really important story point where she remembers what Canto was telling her earlier about the three sisters, and she's curious. She's like, "What was I before I was your servant?" And he was like, "Oh, these matters do not concern you," or however he put it. And I'm wondering, because then it shows her with her two sisters next to her.
Right.
Like that. And I'm wondering if she's going to slowly change sides and double cross him because she's realizing that, oh yeah, he enslaved me.
So
thank you, John.
Yeah, I feel like, they definitely are telegraphing, because you see her with her sisters and you see Canto's quote of what would it take for you to like free yourself from him, and so I think they're definitely setting that up. So last thing I want to talk about, because we talked about the Furies and like they kind of killed the sisters off really quickly. We lost in the first volume, like Canto fails to save his love, like she dies, Verona dies. What do you think about the way they use death in this? Like
they hand it out like it's candy.
I feel like I'm gonna give my thoughts real quick, and then I want to hear what you guys think, because I feel like they're using it as like they're trying to use it as to show there's real stakes to the story or whatever. But I feel like they've done it kind of ineffectively, because it's kind of like, as Kate said, they've kind of handed it out like, I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm just Go ahead, Kate. You started down that road, so what do you think about that?
One thing I found interesting and one thing I found confusing, and I was going to say it earlier, but I forgot. Knowing me, I forget things a lot. But I remember again. I thought that they couldn't leave an area or else their clocks would stop, and therefore Canto was the only one who had to go. But then the other two went with him, and I'm like, wait, so did they just forget that in general, that all of his troops couldn't follow him because they'd all die if they did? and now they can follow him. That makes no sense. So sometimes they don't give out death when it's actually necessary, and sometimes they just kill people off because they can, or they kill it off too easy because it's convenient.
Right.
So I don't know. I feel like they just switch it up. When people are supposed to die, they don't, and when people aren't supposed to die, they die. And it's like, wait a minute. So, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I definitely think there were like too many deaths and they used it in an improper way. But and it made it so that the actual deaths weren't as meaningful.
Yeah.
Which sucked because like some of the characters really deserved that kind of emotional death.
Right.
So I felt sad about the fact that they just kind of
skipped over it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I just feel like I think that's my whole issue with the whole thing. Like, again, I'm enjoying it, but like they're just skipping so much. Like, to
I hope they make standalone issues. I hope they make standalone issues to help explain some of this stuff and expand on the whole universe in general.
Yeah, I feel like this should have been a much longer story in order to tell it well. And it's just rushed. So we are just over our hour mark, so I don't want to keep you guys too long. I appreciate you hanging out with me for as long as you have.
Thanks for having us.
Final thoughts on Volume 2 and what you want to see from Volume 3, maybe at the end also. So first, final thoughts on Volume 2, and then we'll talk about what you want to see from the rest of the story. Let's start where we started tonight. Let's start with Kate. What do you think? Final thoughts?
I think I liked it more than the first one. Like I said before, I didn't enjoy the first one as much, which was good. So I think it got better, but it also got worse in some ways with the fact that they didn't tie storylines very well, and they kind of cut things off and didn't let them have time to just like sink in. And so I think I'll give it an 8 out of 10 for me.
Okay. Well, that's still really good though. So yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. What do you? Well, we'll swing back around to do what you want to see coming forward. Charlie, what about you? Final thoughts on this volume?
I really liked it. I don't think they spent as much time on this one than they did the first one, and I kind of wish they did. I wish that they didn't make the deaths unemotional. I feel like it could have been like Retta could have had a very emotional death, a very nice emotional death, and they ruined all chances of that, and maybe all chances of any other character dying that would be emotional. And I think I did like it, but not as much as the first one. I think we could have done better.
Okay. Kate, what about you? Final thoughts on this one?
Hola. My final thoughts. Artwork, 10 out of 10. Story, 7 out of 10. It has potential. It needs to be built upon.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, definitely my whole idea throughout the whole thing is some things are confusing, some things make sense, and there are some things that they could have just added to that would have made it like a 9 or a 10 out of 10. So I feel like my final score would be, I don't know, 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys still like it a lot.
I love it, yeah.
Yeah. So let's just say, the whole time I've just been torn because I really enjoy the characters. I really enjoy Canto. I think the world is really, really cool. I just feel like they're shortchanging the story a little bit to get it to certain points instead of telling. I feel like this could be a really epic quest, and it's sort of like these like little short. Oh, I had to go across town to get the heart, like instead of like having to go across the world. Like I don't know. So there's a little frustration there. I feel like I definitely agree on the Veretta death. Like you have this emotional scene where she saves Canto, and then but she's okay, and she jokes, and then Canto goes to bed, and then wakes up the next morning, and she's dead. It's like, wait, what?
Dr. Fate.
So
Dr. Fate's coming.
They haven't even won their first round matchup. Talk to me later. So they have to win first. But yeah, so I think you guys are a little higher on. I'm like 7.5, maybe 7.5 out of 10. Like, I'm torn. I'll be honest. I do really enjoy it, but I just want more. I just want more. So I'm gonna say 7.5, maybe out of 10, 7.5. What do you want to see from the rest of the story? We'll just keep going in the same order. We'll start with Kate again and let her. What do you want to see?
I'm not sure. I kind of just want to see how everything plays out. Just like how they tie up certain parts at the ends. Like maybe Farada comes back and they actually make an emotional death for her.
Again.
But it would be funny, I think.
Like her death number 37.
Yeah.
So.
Or maybe like more comedic relief, just because like it's a serious story. I think but it is like playful, but it can be very serious, and I think it does need more like comedy. So I hope there's more comedy, and I hope that they tie some loose ends for this one.
Yeah. All right, Charlotte.
I like Cade. I really am hoping that we get like after this run is over, maybe we get like separate issues where like we learn about the backstories of the other characters. So maybe we get one about Veretta. Maybe we get one about Falco, the elder, and then Canto's girl. I don't know her name.
I forget what it was. Or she never had one. He talks about that. She didn't have a name.
She didn't have one. She just gave one to him.
Unnamed.
She gave him a name, but he had never given her a name. Like, yeah.
We'll just call her Ariel.
Hope. No, call her Hope. Because she always
Hope.
had hope.
Yeah, because that's the thing that he's trying to say was hope. So.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if you guys have seen Lost, but in my opinion, Beretta is just like Mikhail. He's like that one character that doesn't die. And I don't even know if he's still dead, but at one point, like, he gets shot and he's like still alive. I'm like, what? So I think she definitely reminds me of him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he did die at one point, so maybe she's actually dead. But if she's not dead,
It's like, oof, she's actually dead.
you will only $5.
Well, I mean, again, can they actually die? Can you just restart their clock? I don't know. Like, be interesting. If they're almost all mechanical, can they actually die? Could they just? I don't know. Anyway, Cade, what do you want to see from the rest of this?
It's like what I was just gonna say something because it reminds me of Reverse Flash from the CW. How he just keeps dying over and over, and he keeps coming back. It just reminds me of that.
Yeah.
What do I want to see? Kind of like what Charlie was saying. Standalone issues after this run is done, prequels and sequels, new characters and characters we've already been introduced to, because I feel like they could make an entire universe out of this whole storyline. There's so many things they could experiment with. I mean, like, what if the Shrouded Man had a sister all along? The Shrouded Woman! Dun, dun, dun! And that could be a whole thing. It'd be like, I don't know. I feel like they could add a whole bunch of stuff because they just haven't experimented all that much. So they have a lot of stuff they could use.
Or maybe the Shrouded Man is actually a girl.
Maybe.
Oh, no.
With this run itself, I feel like they should just get it over with and defeat this guy. And I feel like what I want to see is Canto going to a whole bunch of different cultures and getting them all, because he has all of his Canto buddies. But, I mean, I think it would be cool if they got the fairies' wings back and they're a part of the war. And then the villagers are a part of the war. And then there's other species and people who are part of the war. And it's like this whole mosh pit, like melting pot of different cultures all fighting for one cause. It would be really cool, because I think it would be like a real life moral where we should all come together and fight our issues. And it would be like an innuendo to that. Everyone coming together and for a similar purpose. So I hope that's where they go with it.
I'll be interesting to see. I don't know that I have a lot of like, I want to see this, I want to see this. I really just want them, as they tell the rest of the story, to tell the story. Like, that's what I want. I feel like, again, I feel like this volume just felt like they just skipped a lot of things to get to the end. and I just want them to tell the story, tell the full story. Like at this point, I feel like they got enough like interest that if they want to make this 4 or 5 volumes, make it 4 or 5 volumes. let's
Spend time on it.
Let's get the whole story instead of this Rust thing. Is really what I'm looking for. With that, that's all my final thoughts, at least on Canto. I want to thank everybody in the chat for hanging out. I want to thank my amazing panel. I know Kate and Charlie do their Saturday morning show with their dad. So you guys gonna be doing that again on Saturday?
Yep.
All right. I look forward to seeing what you guys are reading, although I don't know that I'll get to watch this week live. I'll have to catch it on the replay. But Kate, you have your own channel. You have 1,000+ subs. What do you got coming up, man?
I have had a lot of things going on, and I'm actually this week I'm going on a trip with my friend, so I'm not going to be posting for 4 days. But I have two events that I'm posting. One of which I'm not going to upload yet until it gets reviewed because I was invited to do this nature thing for a company. It's like how my career choice can help influence people to make environmentally friendly choices.
Oh, nice.
And I have it already, and I sent it to them, but they haven't actually gotten back to me on it yet.
Okay.
And I'm really scared to upload it to my channel, and then all of a sudden they don't let me win the competition because they think I stole the video from a YouTuber, even though the YouTuber is me, but I don't think they're going to look into that. So hopefully I'll upload that sometime.
Okay.
And then the other thing I'm working on is something I've hinted around at, but I'm only like 80% done with it. And I need to get the rest done, but I've been so lazy about it, I'll admit. And I'm excited to upload that because it's something I've wanted to do for such a long time, and I'm almost done with it. And I'm just like, I want people to watch this so badly. So,
well, I look forward to seeing that because you always have really interesting and fun stuff. Super smart, and look forward to see where you take your channel, Cade. It's awesome. So, real quick. I'm going to be on vacation the rest of the week, but I did already create my Saturday video, so that'll be posted next Tuesday. I am talking fables with Unruly Simeon and the less interesting members of these families. So John and Rena and Sharon.
Let's give Sharon some love.
All right, Sharon and Rena are fine. John.
John's amazing. Come on.
He is. They're all super amazing.
You're welcome.
But yes, we're still talking fables. We're only on volume 16 and 17 of 22, so we got all kinds of fables to keep talking about. So looking forward to that. I want to thank everybody for hanging out. I want to thank this amazing panel again. You guys are awesome. And with that, we will catch you guys next time.